3, 2, 1.
Check it out.
Today we are gonna cover the Japanese candlesticks that we use on the charts. And since I'm a history nerd, I always start with some history. And it is believed to have been used for hundreds of years, with origins in Japan, where it was developed by a rice merchant, mainly to see the fear and the greed on the Japanese rice market. At least a local rice market where this dude worked. There are, as with all old things, hard to find exact sources. Some people claim that it's bullshit, that it's been used this long, but I mean, it don't matter. What matter is that it works for a lot of traders, and it became really popular quite late. It was in the 90s that people started to use it in the Western world when trading. Of course, some traders had used it before, but that's when it started to become really a thing, and people started to look at the chart patterns and gave at least Western names to a lot of the candles. And today it's of course one of the basic things when you look at the chart, and a lot of people use it in their technical analysis. But as with everything when it comes to trading, it only works if it plays out, and not all candles will play out, and usually they are used in patterns and not just a single candle. So whatever you do, and of course nothing in this class is financial advice, but whatever you do, tomorrow when the market opens, if you see a candle that we have talked about, don't YOLO your money, because this is just one of the many tools we have to our disposal when we trade. Will anyone take care of the questions in the class? Because I, as usual, won't see the chat while I'm talking.
Yeah, and I just wanted to mention real quick, because I know like Presser is brand new. Rob, I see, found it, so maybe Presser might be the only one that doesn't know. So make sure and look to the right hand side, and you'll see a little message icon like right here in the chat, and that is the area where you can send messages to ask questions or answer questions or what have you. I see Rob found it. Presser, I don't know if you know where it is, the right hand corner, and see that little
he's talking there now.
okay.
Texting
great,
at
great.
least. But that's good. And if you have other questions about candles that are more advanced or whatever, just feel free to ask them in the chat, because we have some experienced traders in here too. So I think we can answer most of your candle questions. But I'm gonna stick in this presentation to the really basic stuff. So the basics of a candle. Here we have a red candle and a green candle. And what makes a candle red or green is of course where it opens and where it closes. Because if we look to the left at the red candle, it opened high and it closed lower. So you see that arrow in the middle that points down. And the opposite is of course to apply to the green candle. It opened low and pushed up. And then we have the wicks or the shadows, those smaller lines, that shows that during this time frame it tried to both push up and push down. Both the green and the red candle tried pushes in both directions, but failed, and it moved down to the open and close. So the wicks are a very, very important part of reading the candles, and some people call them wicks, some people call them shadows. Of course, you can have candles that are black and white. I know some people use other colors. There are a lot of variations, but I'm gonna stick to saying wicks. And just because I said that, I'm probably gonna say shadows the whole presentation, but it's the same thing. It's a matter of choice. So just by looking at the candle and see its color, we can see if it's pushing up or down. And what does this tell us? If you want to put it very, very simple, it shows the buying and selling pressure. How high did it try to go? Where did it close? Where did it open? And the wicks, as I said, give us an extra idea. Because as we are going to see on, I think it's the next picture, sometimes the wicks can push really, really high and then go down very quick. And it of course also depends on the time frame. And you can use candles on all time frames, but you always have to have the perspective. What time frame am I looking at? For example, some candles that play out on a longer time frame could mean that it's a huge trend reversal coming, while a candle on the 1 minute chart may not tell us that much. But for example, candles can give us confirmation on trend shifts, as I said, but as with all technical analysis, get multiple confirmation. As I said, don't YOLO on one candle. So here we have a perfect example of a long wick. This was Bed Bath & Beyond, a very talked about stock. It was one of the original meme stocks, and it's also a lot of speculation what's going to happen to it now. But one thing we know for certain, and the price has been pushing up and down a lot. I know some people that has made huge money on it, like really, really huge money, but also a lot of people that, at least for the moment, I'm not saying what's going to happen tomorrow or next year or whatever, but a lot of people feel like they are holding the bag now. But this was one of the big pushes on Bed Bath & Beyond, and this is on the 1 hour chart, so it says quite a lot when it pushes up this much but then retrace all the way down here. So it was quite easy to tell that, okay, we may see a shift in the trend here, because the wick is really, really long, and then boom, it can't stay up there, and it just went down. Sure, it still stayed in the green. If you sold on this candle, you made a really good chunk of money, of course depending where you bought, but let's say you bought at the beginning of the year at 240, getting out at, what are we at, 522 maybe. Not bad at all. Someone who is better at math can do the percent. But this is a perfect example of where really, in my opinion, you didn't have to use many other indicators. Of course you still should, but this was a typical example of a stock trying to push harder, but the buyers get exhausted and people start to take profit. You all follow so far?
Remember, if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and speak, or you can ask in the text section.
Great, great. Yeah. So if we start to look at some candles, we have the Marubozu. Remember, this was all created in Japan. So we're gonna use our Japanese language skills today. And the thing about the Marubusu is that it has no wick at all. So that means that the candle kept pushing in one direction. It can be both up or down, of course, green or red. And it did not stop. So it didn't create a wick. And of course some Marubusus can have like super small wicks. We are not too picky about that. But let's say a stock is going up and bam, a green Marabusa appears. It probably means that, okay, this trend is strong. This is going to continue to go up because the buyers are just flooding in here. It's not even an attempt to push down. But if the chart is pushing up and all of a sudden we get a red Marubusu, it could mean that we have a trend reversal incoming. Because all of a sudden a lot of sellers step in quite brutally. Or vice versa. That's the really nice thing about charting in general. There is always the vice versa. There are head and shoulders and the inverted. Everything can be inverted. So if we look at the chart here, we see here, for example, a Marubusu. It has a really small wick there, if we're gonna be picky. There's actually two. But here we see that the buying trend is really strong. This is GameStop on the 1 hour. So considering it is on a pretty long time frame, this tells a lot that, okay, the buyers are really stepping in here on GameStop. I don't know if it had some news here or what was going on. But then if you look to the right, the second arrow, we see here a day when it opened brutally to the downside with a red Marubusu. And that may mean, okay, maybe it's time to sell. Let's say we bought in here with this strong buying trend. Selling here would still not be so bad. We would have gone from like 1650-ish to 20-ish, depending on when we sold during that hour. So that's still good money. And I think the chart continued to drop for a couple of days after this too, because this was a clear signal of a trend change. And you can probably find some more Marabusas on the chart here. Any questions there? I see the question about a breakout, and yeah, usually it can be formed after, like you see here. It's been trading here in this channel, and then we have this poof, breakout, and then the buyer gets, or rather, GameStop got the buyer's attention. I don't know. Maybe there was some news that I got no clue, but the buyers are really pushing up. And then we see here that long wick, a bit of exhaustion. A lot of people may be selling because, wow, I made some really nice profits here. I'm done for the day. But then sellers couldn't get control here. See that long wick? And it kept pushing until bam. And there are a lot of other indicators here too that, for example, this little strange candle we are gonna look at too. But that's the Marubusu. And I don't know, but it's just a feeling I got that this is so basic that sometimes you forget about it. I mean, it just looks like, okay, it's a green candle, it's a red candle, but they do tell a lot. Then we have the classic doji. And that's a candle that opens and closes around the same price. So that means neither buyers or seller can get control. It's considered in general a neutral candle, of course, since we don't see anything happening to the upside or the downside. I hear some noises. Okay.
It'll be outside on the front.
We gonna need to mute here, I think. Okay.
Fly, honey. Okay.
Thank you. And it's the same thing here. This could mean that we are buyers and or sellers. Could be a bit, okay, what's going to happen next? I'm going to stay out, or everyone is waiting for the next move. But it could also signal a reversal. Because as we see here, for example, this is Bank of America on the 1 day. So we see it has been in a downtrend. It's been not some good days here for the bulls in general. It keeps pushing down. It's forming some lower lows on the chart. And then it tries to push up, down, and then this doji comes. And this is placed perfectly, in my opinion, because we really see that Bank of America got no idea here. Where is it gonna go? But then the push upwards starts again. It tries to reach up to the previous high, fails, but then really pushes. So that is a typical doji, because everyone is kind of waiting here. Okay, are we gonna go lower? Are we gonna break down here? Or are we gonna break up again? So in general, if you see a doji on top of a chart, it may signal, okay, the fun may be over, maybe we're going down now. But for me, it would be easy to say, oh, I would have get into calls when I saw this doji, but this would have been, at least to me, and you can tell me if you think otherwise, and of course other indicators may have to be used too, but I would have stayed out. That doji would have told me to wait and see what's going to happen with Bank of America. And a lot of times you don't have to rush into trades. I mean, if we have gone in when it broke up here, we would still have made good money if we had the patience and long enough expiry. And it's always easy to look at a chart when things have played out and say, oh, I saw that doji, I knew it was going up. But we see another one here to the left, if you see where I have my pointer. It's the same here. It's a lot of indecision. Where are we gonna go? We try to push. Oh, we failed. So always when you look at the chart, remember that there is a fight going on. There are people that want the stock to move up, and there are people that want the stock to move down. The bulls and the bears are fighting all the time, and the candles tells us how they are doing. Who is having an advantage? When is the other side trying to push, trying to change the direction of the war, so to speak? So that's at least a lot of my trading, since I like the psychology part of trading, is picturing I actually see a bull and a bear fighting in front of me. However silly that must sound. Yeah, and we have a class on supply and demand that Trevor had. That is great, and I agree that when we are in a supply zone or a demand zone, and to make that really easy for the new ones, that is kind of where the real struggles are going on. Where are we gonna push further down, or are we gonna break up? And please watch that class that Trevor had. It's on our YouTube channel. And I agree that a candle there can tell us a lot. And I just saw Standard jumping in, and I know he got the perfect book if you want to read more about candlestick patterns. Hopefully he can post the name of the book. It's the Encyclopedia. Sorry for my pronunciation, but of I think it's candlestick chart patterns or something. Okay, we are gonna look at one similar candle because we only have 5 minutes left. Time does fly. And that's the spinning top, and that is very similar to the doji, but it has a bit more body than the doji. And the doji can have pretty short wicks, like some we saw on the previous chart, but the spinning top always has longer wicks, both to the upside and the downside. So it reminds us of that toy, that, you know, the spinning top toy. I don't know if kids use that these days. And this can also be a warning of a price reversal after a big move, because it also tells us that neither the buyers or sellers can get control. They are really, like I talked about, they are fighting. They are both pulling. Hey, I want this to go up. No, I want this to go down. And on a chart, that can be a pretty clear indicator, like here on SPY. This is on the 5 minutes. So here you had to act quick. We see that SPY has pushed for some 20 minutes, and it tried a really hard push here with this wick, but then bam, we got the spinning top all of a sudden. So now it's a fight there. The bears are really saying, hey, we want this to go down now. You had your fun. And of course, many of the buyers, they may have been hanging around since yesterday. They are quite happy with their gains, so they are going to start to sell. And then we see a pretty nice red candle there and a lot of red candles. So this was a typical reversal. And I mean, we had another one here, the green one, almost a doji, but yeah, a spinning top. It has a bit of a body there, I would call it that at least. So there were pretty clear candlestick indicating here that, okay, it may be time to take some profits.
I want to add something real quick. Well, when you're done.
Yeah, shoot.
Okay. So because I only trade SPY, and my main thing for the longest, I barely added a couple of EMAs, but my main thing for the longest is I went by candlesticks. So much so before I even knew what the actual candlestick names were or candlestick formations, I gave them my own names. But Kron said about, not rushing in, and that's so true. People underestimate candlesticks, and I traded SPY very successfully for months with just candlesticks. And let me tell you, in the beginning, I would stare at the SPY chart and take notes and take notes and take notes, trying to get to know its personality, because charts do have their own personality. I know it sounds silly, but they do. I would stare and stare and take notes, etc. And then, once I got more experience with it, the times that I was overzealous and anxious to get in a trade and just staring at the chart with my finger on the trigger, just ready to go, that's when I made the most mistakes. When I sat back and I'd be enjoying chat and I'd have the chart there to the side and I'd be looking at it and I'd be chatting, I'd be looking at it, just enjoying myself, blah, blah. That is when I found the best trades, because they came to me. I was looking at it and it just opened up, like the heavens just opened up and you see it. Don't get in a rush. Don't get too overzealous. That is when you mess up. I know it sounds silly, but let the trade come to you. That is literally when I see the best setups, when I'm calm and chill and looking at the chart and looking at chat and blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, shit, I think that's fixing to happen. Oh, yeah. Those are the best setups. So stay calm. Let them come to you. It's okay. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just replying in the chat. And This is stupid. I can take it. I can speak instead. Rob P had a great question here on the chart at around 21:20. I'm using European time. There are, would you call that a spinning top? Yes, I would, and that's a perfect example. I think here we see some of the bulls are like, oh wait, we made some nice profit here. Let's sell. So pushes down, but we also have the greedy people coming in there. Like, wow, SPY is going to 420. If I had $1 for every time I have heard that SPY is going to 420. Oh my god. So they are coming in. So that's when we get this kind of struggle. We have sellers and we have buyers, and it can't really find the direction. So once again, when you see a candlestick, don't be too hasty. We don't always have to find and buy at the absolute bottom or sell at the absolute top. If you start thinking like that, this is just my view, my humble opinion, but if you start to think like that, you won't last long. If you always chase the absolute tops and bottoms. Instead, analyze, try to get the full story, see the trend, etc., etc. Okay, we are on time.